Hey, Chargers fans, what's up? Here to talk about Khalil Mack, that guy that I didn't know was going to join the team, even though we could connect all those dots. Gavino and I were talking before a few weeks ago. We were to talk about, some day three edge rushers, maybe, or some guys you can find later on to be behind Uchenna and Mosu. That completely changed. And now we're here to talk about Khalil Mack, and I'm happy to do it. Gavino, thank you for joining me, man. How are you? And did you expect this to happen at all?
No, and the backstory is whenever the Chargers make moves, I'm about to do my first set, and if you know me, I'm a power lifter, so I take my training very seriously. When they
Yeah.
hired Brandon Staley, I was about to start benching. When
Nice.
they traded for Khalil Mack, I was about to start squatting. So it's funny because like the notification it cut off on my iPhone, so I'm like Chicago Bears trade Khalil Mack too, and I'm like, what are the chances? It's the Los Angeles Chargers, and then
Yeah.
it pops up. I'm like, all right, I gotta leave. So I take off my knee sleeves. I leave with like my squat shoes on still, unrack the weight, and I'm home. And because I have to do a lot of write ups, of course, with it being a
Yeah.
pretty big deal.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah,
nonetheless, it
no, I'm
was
sure.
worth it.
Sorry.
I was able to get done with training and especially the compensation. We're basically getting Khalil Mack for a second round pick. So
Yeah, definitely would not have expected. I mean, I know Arjun's broken down all the contract things and whatnot. Yeah, definitely unexpected. Again, easy to connect the dots. Brandon Staley, Khalil Mack, the Bears, Jay Rogers, all that. Easy to connect the dots. Would not have guessed that they would have ever pulled this trigger. So a huge surprise. I can't wait to get into this film because we've been looking at some guys, and sure, we just looked at Akeem Hicks before. That was a projected move that could still happen, but this is a move that has happened. I can't believe I'm about to watch Khalil Mack film with the context of him being on the Los Angeles Chargers next to Joey Bosa. Can't believe it. Never would have guessed that, especially after watching him terrorize the Chargers as a Raider for so long. So Gavino's going to get into the film. If you guys want to go ahead and throw in some questions about a specific play, about how he fits with the team, does it change anything for Joey Bosa or whatever, go for it. All right, Gavino, go right through it. You have a box around Khalil Mack here, I'm pretty sure. So everyone knows
yep.
where he is if you're watching.
So
Dive
I
right in.
thought I thought I would have a box around each play, but unfortunately, there are certain plays where it cut off or just didn't show altogether. So I'll make sure
Mhm.
to highlight where he's at before the play rolls if the box isn't covering him. So first play, we're looking at speed to power. So I'm going to try to cover the traits with Khalil Mack as much as possible. Again,
Mhm.
he's definitely a complete pass rusher. He's not just like a one-trick pony like a lot of pass rushers are in this league, and I'm going to demonstrate some of the plays against the run and how he is going to benefit to that department and why he was one of the better run defenders this past season. So, first play, he's lined up out wide against Riley Reef, who is a potential target or could be a potential target for the Chargers given their need at right tackle. So what he's going to do is he's just going to go straight with the violent hat, hands, walk Riley Reef all the way into Joe Burrow. So again, just simple speed to power. So speed, he's going to get good leverage. Reef doesn't even have his hands up. He's going to attack, and just with that power, that leg drive, he's going to walk the blocker all the way back. I think it's Bilal Nichols that cleans it up right there. But again, very, very simple play, but just goes to show that he's got the speed and he's got the power, and he's going to beat a lot of blockers with that. But that's not the only thing he does a good job of. So this next play that I'm going to show is some 2020 tape. And again, this tape right here is 2020, 2021 to show that he's not a bust or something like that. He's not washed. It seems like a lot of fans think that Khalil Mack is washed. Sure, he dealt with some injuries last year, but man, he can play. So he's going to be lined up against Tristan Wirfs, who had a hell of a season, rookie season. So he's out wide, line up opposite the right tackle. So what he's going to do here, he's going to go Euro step. He's going to go with the club, and then he's going to go arm over. So that doesn't work. So again, he's going to try to hit him with the Euro step right there. Then he's going to try to go club, and then with an arm over. So that doesn't work. But with him, he's able to. You see how he turns his shoulders inside. So from there, he's able to rip and work directly all the way into Tom Brady. And again, this just goes to show what he does a good job of is IDing blockers. He knows like how to set them up. He knows like where their weaknesses are. So I'll go ahead and roll that play one more time. So again, you can kind of see with that Euro step, he throws that in a lot. He tries to go club and then he goes arm over, but just look how much he gets him turned. So then from there, he's able to dip, rip, and then he's able to get into Tom Brady. And this is also, I love this play right here. I think everyone remembers this, where he just completely throws Wirfs into the ground right there. Boom.
Wow. Oh
Powerful
man.
player.
The Bears had
Um,
some dudes.
yeah, they do. They're definitely fun to watch. I know it's the Bears and everything, but again, they have some dudes on the defense side of the ball. So like having watched Akeem Hicks and then Khalil Mack, they've definitely been a fun watch. So and this next play right here, he's going to be working against right tackle Rob Havenstein. So again, working against the right tackle, it should be on the left side of your screen. So what he's going to do is he's going to set him up with a jab step. So Havenstein's going to flash hands, but he's going to bite, and then it's going to force him to fall over, and then he's going to finish with an arm over. So I'll go ahead and run this play through. I'll pause it as we go. So he's going to go jab step. Look, he doesn't even have his arm set up right there. So again, Mac does such a good job of being able to set up blockers in a variety of ways. So jab step, thinks that he's going to go inside, goes arm over, and he just clobbers Jared Goff, not Matthew Stafford. This 2020 tape right there.
Oh my gosh.
And then here, I
Go one more
believe,
time through that play again,
yeah,
because that
for
was, I mean,
sure.
it's just
Yeah.
abuse out there at tackle.
So again, jab step shows hands. So quick jab step, it kind of pauses it right there. Flashes hands, causes him to overset, and then goes arm over, and just that closing speed to
Man.
basically. And I think I got the order wrong, so we're going to be looking at a run play. There's one more play from a pass rushing standpoint that I want to show, but it might be after this. So let me go ahead and fast forward to that real quick. Yes, okay. I'll go back to that, how he does in terms of run defense. So Uchenna Nwosu, we're going to miss him in terms of being able to get his hands on the ball. He was definitely an ascending player, but luckily Khalil Mack will be able to, replace that. So he does a good job of getting his hands on the ball, using his arms, in a variety of ways, not only getting after the passer. So here, again, with what the Bears like to do is they like to twist. We see that a lot, and I think that's what's going to translate over to the Chargers. And with Khalil Mack, he loves to work inside. So that's the thing. He'll set up blockers and work inside. And that's what we see here. So he's going up on the left side of your screen, but he's going up against the right tackle. So he's just going to work inside. It's going to cause Hicks to go around him. But look, so he's going to get his hands up. He does such a good job at like IDing ball carriers, just where the ball is in general. So again, I'll go and run this through, and then that way you can kind of see. So again, a little twist, work inside. Look at it. He gets his hands on the ball. Look how far that ball goes. So just knocks it up and almost going out of bounds, but it just goes to show like how powerful it is. But at the same time, being able to like ID like where the football always is, and it translates. That's for sure, because again, he attacks the blockers, attacks that gap. But to be able to see Tom Brady get his hands up in the air, you love when your defensive linemen get their hands up in the air. Because again, pass deflections aren't only for second and third level of defense. If you can have your guys at the up front being able to see the quarterback throw the ball and get their hands up, then it is a win.
Just off the top of my head, because I know you're discussing stunts and whatnot, how much do you remember Uchenna Nwosu doing that this past season? Like, I actually don't recall. I didn't watch a whole lot of defensive film. So do you feel like, because I know the Chargers, and we had, like, Arjun had sent us some information about, the Chargers being, a higher stunt rate team, and it being better to do that out of a 3-4 and yada, yada. Do you recall Nwosu doing that?
At times he did, but I mean, for the most part, it was all just straight line stuff.
Yeah. So you feel like Mack will be able to do this
exactly
more? Yeah. Okay.
And that's what we talk about with Staley getting the pieces for his defense. And I think, for him, he wants to be able to utilize that a lot more. We definitely saw it in terms of like the interior defensive linemen for sure.
Right.
But
right.
I think with the edge defenders, we're going to be seeing that a lot more, having Mack on board. So I'll go ahead and go back to the Packers play. Before we go over the run defense, does anyone have any questions in regards to how he is as a pass rusher? Just anything that comes to mind.
Yeah, I'll definitely throw some out for you to answer. So this is from Ed Mises, sorry if I don't know how to say your name correctly, with both Mack and Bosa rushing primarily from the right. I don't know if that's true. How do you think they work them?
So I think Staley has a plan where he's going to have them opposite, but at the same time he's going to have them. There's going to be some packages where he's going to have them lined up next to each other, kind of like a NASCAR look.
Yeah.
So again, even though like they're rushing on the right side, I don't expect them to be, staying on the same side. I could see Mac working opposite him, and that's totally what I expect them to be. So yes, we saw Mac primarily rushing off the right side. Same thing with Bosa, but they're going to find out a way to put them on the opposite side because when you have edge defenders of that caliber, you need them to play opposite. Because with Joey Bosa, he was constantly triple teamed. We talked about that a lot. And that's something that the Chargers went out and got was a premier pass rusher to be able to negate that, and that's going to help with the interior defensive lineman. We talked about Brandon Staley mentioning like winning one-on-one matchups, and I think
Right.
with that, it's going to create more of like the one-on-one matchups and then two-on-one in the secondary. So with this addition of Mack, it's going to allow the Chargers to be able to do that.
That's fantastic. All right, this is from either Capel or Capil. Sorry if I don't know say your name as well. I feel like we were missing the speed element that Von Miller and Robert Quinn provided. Are Bosa and Mack redundant in any way? And can Rumpf turn into our speed guy for stunts?
Yeah, I'll go back to Mac, but I've had a lot of people mention, Rumpf being like the Kyler Fackrell stepping in as
Right.
edge three. I'm not comfortable with him going into edge three yet.
hmm
It's a matter of him getting stronger. Yes, he's loose, he's fast, so he's going to be able to get to the passer. But again, you have to keep him as free as possible. And when I broke down his film against the Bengals, I believe utilizing him on those stunts, he's the type of guy that you want just to be able like knowing how fast he can get to a quarterback. And again, if you don't want to get him in a position where he's going to be blocked, because I also
Right.
showed plays where when blockers get their hands on him, sure he's not going to end up on the ground. He'll stay in place with just like his motor and his energy. But
Sure.
he's going to be a guy that's probably going to be utilized more in stunts just to get free.
Yeah.
But I expect this team to bring in a Kyler Fackrell esque type of player. And then as
Mhm.
far as like Mac, with that first play, I kind of showed his speed to power. Like he can win in a hurry. Just with that speed. Yes, with Bosa, he's more of a finesse guy who can win with his hands and
Mhm.
power. But Mac is pretty fast at getting the quarterback. So I think they have their own styles. They're similar in a sense, but regardless, I think they complement one another. And
Mhm.
again, you can make the argument for like the best pass rushing duo in the NFL. But regardless, like their play styles, it's going to be wreak havoc, um, on opposing offenses.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait to see it. There's definitely a couple more questions, but I'll let you go through a few more plays, and we'll try to get to some more, maybe
Yeah.
about another few more.
So we're going to switch gears to how he does as a run defender. I think that's the topic of the offseason. The Chargers were one of the worst teams against the run this past season. So he's going to help in this department quite a bit. Uchenna was pretty good against the run too, but with Mac, he's definitely more powerful. Uchenna isn't nearly as strong. That's not his name of the game. With Mac, he can win with power, he can win with quickness, and that's what we're going to show here. How he's able to stop ball carriers. So again, Billy Turner. So he's working against Billy Turner, left side of your screen, your right tackle. Again, another potential target for the Chargers. So again, we're going to get a running play right here. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I will get to there. So this is exactly what I was talking about. This is one more pass rushing play. Okay, so I got it mixed up because they look exactly the same. So with this, we were talking about like twists and him working inside a lot. This is the last pass rushing rep. My apologies. Again, there's one that looks exactly like this. So with him pass rushing right here, he's able to set up the blocker. So work up field. And then again, with Ball Nichols occupying the center of the guard, he's able to squeeze through that gap right there. Again, Turner has no shot, and just to be able to work all the way to Rodgers. And this is exactly kind of what we're talking about with the speed and just being able to set up blockers because he's going to threaten upfield. He bites a little bit. He sees that gap. He dips, pushes a blocker, and just bulldozes his way through. So again, he can get to the quarterback in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And with the plays that I was showing against Wirfs, Havenstein too, he's not a one-trick pony. I showed you the speed to power. I showed you the hands, but most importantly, like Bosa, he knows how to set up blockers. Doing a good job of like knowing their weaknesses and being able to execute like that, and that's what Mac does. So
Mm-hmm.
now we're going to go to run defense. So I apologize about that. So again, I was able to show you one more pass rush, and again, exactly what I was talking about, like how they're going to be working him inside too, utilizing those twists and stunts more frequently. So again, we got our first play against the run right here. So again, he's working against Billy Turner. He's going to go with a long arm. So this goes to show how powerful he is, how well he uses his length. So he's going to get blocked. At the same time, he's going to get his arm. Mac's going to get his arms into the chest of Turner, and he's going to look at that separation right there. He's going to ID the running back, and then from there, he's just going to shed. So he's trying to go through that gap, and then Mac is there to make the play. So again, a guy like just a pure speed guy, he wouldn't be able to hold his ground. Again, the Chargers struggle with this quite a bit. But, when you have Mac utilizing that length right there to create separation, but also knowing when the running back is about to come through the gap to shed him, make a play on the football right there.
Considering Brandon Staley obviously traded for Khalil Mack, I'm not saying these two players are even the same, but I could see why you would think that he would like Travon Walker as well with some of these plays in here, especially the stunts, the long arm holding up against the run like that. I could see why you would think that Staley would like someone like that.
100%. And when I watched Travon Walker's tape, sure, there's untapped potential as a pass rusher, but
yes,
pure run defense and just like what he brings to the table and what he's probably going to become in this league. That's why I could see Staley liking him. So again, same thing as like the last play, being able to hold his own at the point of attack. I'm sorry, I'll run through that play again. So left side of the screen, again, same thing against Turner. So being able to get his hands, hold his ground, he's not giving up on this play, getting washed out, and then being able to ID the running back. And again, this is going to make the second level of the defense a lot better. You see stuff like this, the Chargers would struggle. You'd see gaps more so from the interior. But again, this is how he's going to make the run defense better, to be able to like hold his own at the point of attack. You can kind of see these second levels. They're going to be able to play in lighter boxes, not only with their interior defensive line acquisitions, but with Khalil Mack. So you're able to flow more freely to the football, and you see everyone just being able to gang up like that. But again, he disengages, makes a play on the football. Again, you see that power. And then last play right here, quickness off the snap right here. So again, I wouldn't suggest having a tight end block him. And I think who's 86? Is that Tunyon?
Probably.
Okay. Anyways, so again, he's going to try to block him right here. I got a box right here to show where he's at. But just look at this quickness off the ball. So he's just going to go with a simple arm over to get around him, and then look how quick he closes in on Aaron Jones. Like that's just a complete player right there. Like the past two plays that I showed you were just like power, being able to hold his own at the point of attack. But then this is just pure quickness, being able to ID where the ball carrier is going, like just in a hurry, arm over, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you just see such a wide variety of ways this guy can win. I mean, whatever you want him to do. And it's not just he has a one way to win before the snap, and he shows one way to win throughout the one snap. Like he'll switch to something else, like he should, I think, on the first play. You can switch to something else, mid-rush if needed. And that's just something that the Chargers, probably didn't have with Fackrell, I would imagine. Definitely don't have in Rumph. And Wosu, I've seen a couple like jab and Euro steps sometimes. He's got some rip to him for sure, but just what you're seeing with Khalil Mack here is just so different. You can understand why Steelers would like him.
Yeah, and again, I showed you the speed to power. I showed you just how he sets up blockers, how he can use his hands. So again, he's a perfect complement to Bosa because I think Bosa offers a little bit more savvy in terms of
Mm,
his overall hand technique. But
mhm,
with Khalil Mack, I would say he's definitely more powerful. He's definitely like probably a little bit tougher than Bosa, I would say too. But again, when you have tackles and they're going up against the Chargers, and specifically Bosa and Mack, like good luck. And again, with the
mhm,
additions of Austin Johnson and Sebastian Joseph Day, like this is like turning to be a pretty stout front, in my opinion. So
mhm. Yes, it's very stout except for one particular spot, at least in terms of the run defense, of course. We always bring him up, but we kind of have to because he's going to be starting. Is there a way you think the Chargers, 'cause some people are sort of curious, is there a way to get Tillery off the field because you have Mack and Johnson and Joseph Day? Steven is going to break down Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson guys, so that'll be coming a different time. But for now, just Khalil Mack. Is there a way you think that they could get him off the field in a way that, because he's going to start, but is there a way that you can kind of get him off the field as well?
I made that prediction probably what was it a month and a half ago, where I said that
Hmm.
Tillery wasn't going to start. I've been pretty correct in terms of blowing up the interior defensive
Yeah.
line altogether. We haven't heard anything about Justin Jones. I think you're going to put yourself in a position where you can get Tillery on the field on like third down situation, just
Hmm.
strictly passing situations, and I think that's what they're looking to do. So whether it's acquiring another interior defensive line, I would not be surprised if they don't bring in another one via free agency. I could see them looking to the draft to do that. I don't think Jordan Davis is an option anymore, to be honest. So
No.
for some Chargers fans, they're happy about it. Others are still optimistic that they are going to draft him. But again, there's a lot, like it's a deep class, so I could see them
Hmm.
getting like a true run defending interior defensive lineman. So not necessarily saying that it's going to be like a nose tackle, but a guy that comes to mind that can play like the 4-eye Thomas Booker from Stanford. I think I believe
You've
it was
met with him?
Steven, or I saw what's that?
Oh, nothing.
Oh no, I think there was a PFF stat that he was one of the better interior defenders against the run too. But that could be a potential third, fourth round pick right there, and I'd totally be on board with taking uh, Thomas Booker out of Stanford. So I think that's what they're going to look to fill, and then getting Tillery on the field just in passing situations, so that way he can kind of do what he's done best. He's not stout against the run. I don't expect that to change. He is what he is.
Yeah.
He was drafted to supply pass rushing presence, and again, we kind of knew what he, offered against the run coming out of Notre Dame. So
Hmm.
that's how it is. So I can see that being, a scenario. But with Johnson and Sebastian Joseph Day, especially in sub packages, them starting for sure, from the
Hmm.
get go. So I think that's their intentions. But if they were to bring back a Justin Jones, then great. He was definitely the team's best or the better interior defenders against the run 2020, and then 2021 when he was on the field. So
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about Thomas Booker. They've also met with Neil Farrell Jr. So there's, I think I'm sure they've met with all the early guys too. And I'm sure they
yeah,
did. Everyone at the combine, I'm sure they met with, but, they'll do their homework on some later guys as well. One person, a couple of questions from Beachmod actually. So he says, Staley dropped Bosa into coverage. If Mac drops back, how are his coverage skills in general with Bosa? I think everyone is very concerned, like, oh, 3-4 defense. How much is Joey going to drop into coverage? I don't think it ever mattered. Not that it won't ever matter, but I think Joey maybe one reception allowed all year. It wasn't that frequent, so I'm not super worried. But do you think he'll drop Mac more into coverage? What do you think about this?
you know, I think they want him. They want both of them just to work into the backfield.
Yeah.
I get with Staley's scheme, like with the outside linebackers, they're required more to play in coverage. But
Hmm.
with Mac, I talked about his eyes, and his movement skills are actually pretty good. So he actually, like in zone coverage, he's pretty fluid for the most part. And like you got to remember, like with coming out of Buffalo, like he was more of a traditional linebacker too, and he
Mm-hmm.
did show some good coverage skills in man too. So that's going to translate too. And even though he's gotten older, of course, like from the film, like I saw some like how he would just play the pass, and he shows just good eyes to diagnose the play, not fall for misdirection or anything like that. He doesn't bite, and he has like the motor, of course, to chase down plays. So I don't expect them to use him in coverage quite a bit. I think they really want him to disrupt the backfield. Same thing with Bosa too. I'm sure that they have a plan again with the guys that they already have in place, and then the ones they want to bring in to take care of that. But I wouldn't want Khalil Mack dropping the coverage. I would not want to be, having him be the one to do that. Let him do what he does best and go from there.
Yeah, I doubt it'll happen very frequently. Again, I think Bosa might have been once, twice a game, and it never really made much of a difference. So, I'm not too worried about it. Another question from Beach Mata. We are going to wrap up pretty soon, guys. If you want to drop in more questions that are kind of different than the ones we've talked about, definitely drop them in. Beach Mata again says, what do you consider Mac's weaknesses, if any? Because I think it is worth talking about, and clearly he has a lot of strengths. But outside of being, injured and costly and things like that he really can't control on the field, does he have any weaknesses that stand out to you, if any, or does you think he's just good to go?
I think he's good to go. So the best ability is availability, and that's like the one thing I saw with Mac. And with that film breakdown, I showed you like what he can do, and just again, there's not a like you're going to be successful in this league at rushing the passer if you know how to be able to set up blockers. Beat the hands, beat the man. Like he can do it all. Being able to push blockers back into the backfield. There's not a lot of weaknesses, and again, that's how he was coming out of colleges. There wasn't a lot of knocks on him. It's just a matter of staying on the field. So he wasn't able to do so that much this past season. But I think with the staff that they have, because the Chargers were one of the more healthy teams in the league, and I think it's just with the people that Staley brought in. That of course Brian Bulaga, but I think it should benefit a guy like Mac to be able to play a full season. We saw with Derwin James, he was able to play the full slate. So again, not a lot of knocks on him. And again, this is a guy that I watched probably about like 6 games on, dating back to 2018. Again, I could have showed a lot of or some film from 2018 when Staley was his outside linebackers coach, but that has just been a highlight reel. Like he was definitely dominant, and again, he was still relatively young then, so more prime, I guess you can say, but he's still a very, very good player and one of the better edge defenders in this league.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I didn't really follow Khalil Mack's stats because I just he's a good player, and I just always knew that. But started in the league 54 pressures, and then it's just 82, 98, 79, 73, 70, 59, and then obviously 22, and then won 6 sacks last season. But I mean, that kind of production, this is what we've wanted. It's kind of why some of us wanted, like, I don't know, Hassan Reddick or something, just a jump in production, some proven jump in production over in Mosu. And
those are the players that we were looking at, with the Hassan Reddick.
Right. Never would have guessed.
Trying to fit the mold of, a Brandon Staley outside linebacker. And, we're thinking of, Harold Landry, Hassan Reddick, and I never would have thought Khalil Mack, but the move was genius, and I think it's going to pay dividends this season moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the point that you mentioned that, Khalil Mack coming here, first of all, out of Chicago, I'm sure will help with his health just overall. I imagine playing in Los Angeles and in SoFi is a lot better than playing Soldier Field, Chicago, 8 or 9 times a year. I just like the idea that he's going to come to this franchise, and I believe that he would be healthier here. Part of it could be motivation. Part of it could be just less, double teams to take on, whatever. But I think the Chargers have done such a good job. Brian Bulaga's case was so weird. So if you don't count him, because the case was just a weird flux of injuries for the last 2 years, they only had one starter not show up that final week 18 game, which is Ode Abuji. And he was kind of a guy who had injury history as is. Despite that, they still lost that game, even though they had 20 out of 22 starters, but it is what it is. So yeah, I think this thing is pretty slam dunk at this point, and just adding Sebastian Joseph Day, like they found guys that fit exactly what they needed. Like even if you just scheme aside, film aside, on the stat sheet, they found the 2 interior guys who are great against the run, who complement each other well, and then a guy in Khalil Mack who's just one of the best in the league, and hopefully he does end up like that as well. I thought it was pretty cool though. I don't know if you watched you did watch the 2018 tape with him a little bit. I think in that year, which was the only year with Brandon Staley, if I'm not mistaken, he set a career high in strip sacks. And then Joey Bosa this year with Brandon Staley set his career high in strip sacks as well, or forced fumbles, that is. What is it about Khalil Mack, Brandon Staley? Like, how did he maximize these guys this way? I know you've watched a little bit of Bosa, sure. You watched some Mack. I don't know if you know, but like what is the difference? Like, what is the difference that Brandon Staley is doing to get these guys to have career highs in forced fumbles? Because clearly it's a pattern at this point.
Yeah, I mean, remember that one? I think I shared it with you. That one clip from All In, and it was right before they played the Chiefs, and he was talking about, we're going to strip it. How do we beat these
Yeah.
guys? Like
Mhm.
when I interview for the shot, they're going to ask me like, what am I going to do to beat this guy? And one of the things he said, we're going to, strip it and all that. So I think turnovers definitely being a big emphasis with Brandon Staley. And I don't know the numbers with the Rams, but again, he's putting the pieces in place to have, or to be able to create a defense of that caliber, being the top ranked defense. And like right now with the pieces, like it's up there. They're gonna add like a few other guys in the draft, but you can make one of like a strong argument for it being like cream of the crop defense in this league with what they
Yeah, no,
have.
absolutely. Mhm. Our last question before I let you go, where do you think they address we've talked about this every time, but the context keeps changing. So how do you think they address edge at this point now?
So again, they can still go the route of a free agency. A popular guy now is Lorenzo Carter. My
Mhm.
guy, Ogbo Okoronkwo. I think he went to the Texans today. So
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
was only a year for $2 million, I believe. So I'm like,
No
damn,
way.
I think so.
Oh.
And he's still young and he's such an ascending talent. So I'm like, that would have been a perfect edge three. Um, so a guy like Carter could be like slide in to edge three. And then, the draft, like it's interesting because are you looking to bring in another rookie? Because you still have Rumpf, who's, in my opinion, there's still room for him to develop. Um, if I were to guess, I want to say that they're going to probably address it in the draft. Something just tells me, they're going to just walk away at a free agency with only those three edge rushers. Not counting Egbule, of course, but they're just going to address the position on day three. But would I be surprised if they go, round one, a Jabo? No, because you never know what they're going to do. They're setting themselves up for like best player available, barring right tackle or right guard. So, but at the same time, I've had a lot of people ask me this too. Should the Chargers, take Penning or one of the tackles? I'm not too interested in them taking them like that high. I still have concerns with Penning. I doubt that Cross is going to be there. So like I'm kind of out on tackle, and I'm kind of at the point where it's like BPA, but I would really like to see one of the wide receivers on the Chargers, especially if
Yeah.
JMO Williams is there. Like I'm all in.
Yeah, no, that would be at this point, based on the way they've set themselves. Like to me, it was edge or corner. You go after the premium defensive positions. Clearly, they've got taken care of that in terms of starters. So them,
It's exciting because like the
mhm,
Chargers haven't been in this position. It's been need. You've had to go get your left tackle last year, get your quarterback the year
mhm.
before that, and Tillery the year before that. But to be in a position where you are taking like best player available, and again, especially someone who could be a wide receiver too, in
Mhm.
his rookie season, like it's looking pretty good for the Chargers. But my final answer on the edge is they're going to pick up Lorenzo Carter or they're going to go edge on day three.
Okay.
And I guess that should segue into I'm going to do a little series. It'll be a mini series of it's going to be called Finding the Edge. I mentioned this to Tyler. He was all on board. So I'm going to be breaking down under the radar edge defenders who kind of fit that profile that Brandon Staley covets at the position. So, maybe like 3 or 4, and those could be guys that they would target, because Chris Rumpf was a perfect example. He had that
Mhm.
Leonard Floyd-esque type of style of play coming out of college, not on that same caliber of Leonard Floyd coming out of Georgia,
Right.
but he has his specific guys that he favors. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that pretty soon. Hopefully, I'll get my first guy out next week.
Fantastic. I didn't put it together that Leonard Floyd went to Georgia. I just keep hearing these Georgia connections with Brandon Staley and, some of these. So, of course, another Georgia guy, just like Telesco and his Notre Dame stuff. All right, Gavino, thank you so much for joining me, obviously, and doing this breakdown, fielding questions. Guys, what do you think of Khalil Mack? Like, I'm sure you're pretty happy with this. I don't see a lot of people who are too disappointed. There's a little bit of reservation, of course, with the injuries, but otherwise, I think people are pretty on board to see, I'm going to say the best edge duo in the league when healthy. Like, I can't imagine there's a better 1-2 punch than this out there. So I can't wait to see it. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Take care. And as always, bolt up.